I'm going to show you a national news segment that features me as a guest speaker on Alex Murdaugh and some new photos that have leaked of him. Now, why did they have me on? If you don't know or you're new to the channel, I spent a decade in the same prisons that Alex Murdaugh is now serving his life sentences in. So I spoke on that. I'm going to go ahead and show it to you, but mostly because you may have already heard this story, I'm going to give you a little additional information after this because SCDC, the South Carolina Department of Corrections, has issued a statement regarding the topic of this headline and story in this national news segment. And what they said is pretty interesting, and it raises some questions. So I'm going to talk about that and just give you some additional insight and information to what's going on now with Alex Murdaugh in prison. So stay tuned after this clip.
I am fascinated by prison life, and I am even more fascinated when somebody snaps a picture inside a cell because, you know, that's contraband usually. You're not allowed to have cameras. So when these photos surfaced on the interwebs of Alex Murdaugh shirtless in his prison bunk, looking like he might have been snapping selfies and maybe emailing them out, everybody went bonkers and thought that's what was happening. That is likely not what was happening, not in the least. This is him, chest out, all the rest, yawning, etc., at the McCormick Correctional Institution in South Carolina, where he's serving 2 life sentences for murdering his wife and son. You can see, you know, some of the things around his cell, some fixtures. There was like a red cone above his head in one of them. Good explanation for that. The YouTube channel Phone Calls from Prison actually got these. And they were done with a Freedom of Information Act, which means they're not leaked, which means they are likely not selfies being snapped in jail. It means they are official record. So I want to bring in somebody who knows a lot about this and knows all the answers to this. His name is Paul. He goes by his first name because he really goes by Jumpsuit Pablo online. And Jumpsuit Pablo has some great social media posts about what life is like inside this prison system because he spent 10 years in the same prison system as Alex Murdaugh. Thank you, Paul, for being on with me. And I wanted to get it straight from your mouth, the explanation that these are not selfies. Why do these exist and how are we in possession of them?
Right. In the last few years, SCDC, the South Carolina DOC, has issued tablets to all the inmates. Now, you can't do all the things that we out here can do on tablets. You can't get on the internet, social media and things, but they have a few features. But with these tablets, whenever an inmate goes to log in using their state-issued prisoner number and a PIN code, it just for a security measure, it snaps a photo just to make sure no one's stolen another inmate's tablet and, you know, tried to take that and use it because theirs broke, things like that. So it snaps a quick picture. So what you're seeing is pretty much every login that Alex has on his tablet, anytime he wants to use it, it's going to snap a picture, which you can imagine is probably 4 or 5, who knows how many times a day. So there's a lot of pictures in that Freedom of Information Act, those
Sure.
pictures you got.
Is he made aware of that? Like when you're an inmate, are you told, hey, when you log into your tablet, it's going to take a picture of you?
It doesn't, because, you know, I was in there when they first started handing them out, and it was a surprise to a lot of guys because a lot of guys have some tobacco they're not supposed to have and just other things they might be, you know, it was a funny thing because guys would be logging in while they're maybe smoking a cigarette, something like that, and it snaps that picture and it kind of freaked them out. You know, they didn't realize that. So thought we might see some funny stuff like that with Alex Murdaugh. But once they become aware of it, usually they'll put a piece of tape or something like that over the camera lens just so that doesn't happen. But he hasn't. So I don't think he's even aware that it's doing this.
He probably will be pretty soon. I'm going to ask you 2 questions at one because I'm only like 30 seconds left. The red cone that's above his head in one of those pictures, you have a good explanation for that, and you also have a good explanation for why he's shirtless. Can you give me a quick one on those 2 things?
Yeah. He may be shirtless because, you know, thunderstorms, it always seems to knock that power out in any prison in the state. Once it does, the AC goes out, it gets really hot. The walls have condensation on them. He's probably burning up if that's the case. The cone that you see above his head, that's a common rig that prisoners make. It's just to put your earbuds of your headphones in so it amplifies the music that's coming from his tablet. You have a radio feature on it. So probably just amplifying that in his cell. That's what they make them for.
I knew you'd have the answers, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate the firsthand knowledge of what we're seeing in those pictures, and they're not what all the folks on the internet think. Thank you for
Right.
this, Paul. Jumpsuit Pablo, a great account. I've been following you and listening to a lot of your information from the moment he was deemed protective custody, and you found out where he was. So appreciate the info, and we'll have you back. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's talk about these photos that were taken by Murdaugh's tablet and included in this Freedom of Information Act request by the YouTuber Phone Calls from Prison. SCDC has seen this news clip, and I guess news media outlets have reached out to SCDC, the communications director, and asked her questions about that. And she says that the photos that were included in this request should not have been provided to Phone Calls from Prison, the YouTube channel. They should not have been included. These are security measure photos that are taken anytime you log into a tablet. And yeah, for whatever reason, they shouldn't have been included. So I know Phone Calls from Prison did another FOIA, Freedom of Information Act request for more stuff, hopefully some phone calls, and we can get some info there. But he also was hoping to get some more photos. So it sounds like those are not going to be included in his next request. But maybe a phone call will be. And it's interesting, when I was talking to this YouTube channel, Phone Calls from Prison, we were messaging back and forth, and they said they did have one phone call from AlexMurdaugh included in the first request where they got those photos. They said, man, it was just, in all this time he's been there, he's made one phone call. One. Who actually picked up the person who was calling. And when they did, it was very brief, maybe 10, 20 seconds, and it wasn't really anything worth even reporting. Okay. But he has made other phone calls, but no one will answer. None of these people he calls, they just won't answer. So what do you think about that? How does that make you feel? And what are your theories on that? No one's picking up for AlexMurdaugh. He's in prison doing his time day by day. The clock is ticking, ticking, ticking. Doesn't seem like he's getting any closer to the day of freedom. And hey, that's how it is in prison. Time passes by, and people's lives outside of prison keep going. And it looks like AlexMurdaugh is coming to the realization that everybody in prison, myself included when I did my 10 years there, you have to accept, man, you are out of sight, out of mind. It doesn't matter. People have to live their life, and you start feeling that loneliness and that isolation and that just solitude. People aren't even answering for him anymore. He made a call to his lawyer and said something that's not even of any substance. Other than that, no one's picking up his phone calls. No one cares to talk to him. They look at their phone. They see it's him. I'll catch the next one. They don't care to talk to Alex. So, what do you guys think about that? I know what I think about it. I think, welcome to prison, buddy. And I don't mean to sound like I'm better than him or anything. I mean that I've been there and I've gone through it, and it hurts. It sucks. Whether you think he deserves it or not, in his point of view and in my point of view, when I went through it, it sucks. It hurts. Sometimes, yeah, it'll make you forcefully reflect on yourself and think about what you did. I mean, whatever. But all in all, yeah, it sucks. And welcome to prison. That's what happens to me. That's what happens to you. It's what happens to generally everyone there. That's part of it. You've gone through your first hardship in prison, which is realizing you will be forgotten in there. You will be forgotten. So that's just one thing. But, to touch a little more on what I was saying about, my explanation for the photos in there. He as he's moving away from this outside lifestyle and being more submerged and just involved in this prison life, it is because, trust me, it is a whole new life and a whole new world of its own. And you got to learn the rules, and you got to learn the ins and the outs, and you got to learn how to, your P's and Q's and dot your I's and T's. He's learning. He's watching. I don't know if anyone's told him how to do what he's doing, but he's either being told and taking that advice, or he's watching and learning. He's making little things to just improve his very meager quality of life, with the cones to boost his audio from his little cheap headphones. You get very cheap headphone earbuds in there. And we saw in that picture, like I explained, he's rigged something up to where it's just a little bit better, and that's prison. You're making the best out of what you got, and it's just interesting to see a guy who came from so much, and now you're in there, you're at rock bottom, and you learn, man. You scrape up what you can, and you make it look pretty, and you enjoy it, and you're happy for it. So it's just interesting just to observe that. What do you guys think? Let me know. What are your thoughts on this? Is he going to become more and more accustomed and acclimated to this environment? Will he be a true blue bona fide convict one day? And I think that's what worries some people. This guy who has legal information, even if he wasn't the greatest lawyer ever, he's got more legal information than the average guy in there. He could be valuable. Will this guy learn to use that and other things to his advantage? It doesn't matter if he can even really deliver or the quality he's able to deliver. Half of it is just the finesse of selling the next inmate the dream that you can do these things, just to momentarily buy yourself some safety, some importance, some usefulness, and some protection. Just in that dynamic, that I have something to offer dynamic, just to skate through for however long. It's just really interesting to see how he's adjusting. So just wanted to throw those few thoughts out there. Just a quick video. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know as soon as I get any other updates on Murdaugh. I promise I'll be back with more information. But as for now, that's it. Thanks for watching.